History of the Temur Beg, commonly called Tamerlain. Read it by Shawkat in 2nd of May 2024 for the publisher. The history of the Genghis Khan and the Great of the Fourth Empire, and time of the Mughals and the Tartars, in the 4 books containing his life, advisement, conquests, with the 4 of the heart, the story and success of the peacetime, manners, comforts, laws, ancients, and the Mughals and the Tartars, and the geography of the world, captures of the Mughals, Turkestan, Caliphate Beg, Turkfan, and the Ifnan Tartar. Collected by the further will be the origin of the authors. European travelers who name it with an abridgment of the lives added this book, late of the M.P.'s Croxener, secretary and independent of the King of the Turkish Arabic languages, and the faithfully translated into the English. The history of the Temur Beg, known by of the name of the Tamerlain, and the great emperor of the Mughals and the Tartars. Beginning. And a history of the journal of these conquests, affair in Europe, written of to be defending old native in the gaze of them, contemporarily translated into the French by the late of the Munifier Peters, royal scholar and the secretary, interpreted in the kingdom in the original languages without historical and the notice in the maps. Now, faithfully in the will be England, in the 2 of the volumes, London, printed in the DARBY, Bartholomew and the Colley, E. Bell and the Cornhill, W. Taylor in Peterborough, W. and the G. Innys, Wet of the End and the Paul's Churchyard, observed in the Lombard Fleet, T. PAYNE, and then starting of the court, MGC. To His Highness Prince Frederick. It is a pleasure for your Highness that will be known in the heart of the stories and always being alignment and necessary qualification of the Prince by this fees and the maximum of the policy exemplify of the life and the previously what will be the great adventures of the just, mild administration as in the faith on declaration, conquest of the operations, and currently will be the 4 places, experience, and there will be the ancient and the stories, and the through will be the viewing. What will be otherwise will go in the comfort of the many years of objections. Further of the mind will be such as the rules and the count, as many rendering the people and the father will be himself emotional, and the moral will be one of the as they for in the highest, and the mid of the time and the pain, delightful and the well, and though will be the study and the humble beginning. That is for and your will be the highness, the following of the story of the Temur Beg. I might be offering and a farewell and a reason from the work. Declaration. Work itself and then apologizing for this profuse point. The prince of the whose will be in the subject, of thou will be excelling in a none will be recorded, extending in the conquest by way of the few of the praises, justifying the proud will be one of the remembering, and the life will be therefore in the four of the greatest and the potential and can be unfoundable, and the praise will be the young of the prince who will be the growing in a hope. Britain and the nation of which entering and define, and every of the Britain may will be therefore few of the prize, kingdom of the underbright, mainly noble virtues. Of this prince will declaration will preparing and a comfort that will be the history of which is will be the refining and a bite of the greatest of the living and a pattern of the most of the prop of the highest and immaculating and the royal and the grand will be the kingdom and the George for them clemency and the George will be the complifying his will be the enemies and the conflict will be regard will be the welfare and the subject are further things will be the changes over will be the perfecting and the self-will of the few lively and the way of the complify and the whole will be the region and the Timur bake and then performing life within and afford your highness of the small pleasure, finding the author of the works and the dawn of the justify too. Memory of the great hero, who history either wrote in the male's ignorance of the other writers has been generally hitherto from this much misrepresented. I would not will be thought and the joyful, and the part of this will be the conduct and the principles by which it will be effected. At the pursuing will be the conquest, but will be the fields and the verifying the plan. That therefore will be the rather ongoing, and then the foul nation of the relating that will be the natural terms of the learning, and the from will be the great of the Prophet Muhammad. Reading that will be the Prophet, and greatly will be the words, and then that. Only the way of the reading of those who be the happy was one of the bright in the making of understand and the governing phase, but only of the afflicting that will be the highnesses heading to own adventures both of the justifying the maximus and the number of exam. Though it will be the highnesses well occurred within the French tongue from the Venice and then verification and the mating, and yet there will be but translation. Can't thinking about the well-being and affairs of the paling and a view of in the history of the England, the phrases and the not languages can be purified more agreeably to the prince, and there will be the people whom will be disagreed governing, but then I will be occurred to you, highness, that will be the many of the fallen performance will be the such agree of the few of the event, and the result will be apparently in the public. I hope we may earlier realization of the pay of the homage, and your will be the highness willing be for execute me on of the rendering, and the works and the left will be the acceptable. May your highness in them will be the virtue you will be advising, and your will be the gate of the equal and the both of the royal and the grandfather. Father in all those principle and embalming in a moment, which rather rendering in the light on will be admitting in the making of the such as element of belief to bring nation and name. May it will be your highness, and the most of the humble, and the most of the obedient, and the most of the devoted servant. The French editor. Preface. Of all will be the Orient, and the priest will be the witches will be M. Peters de la Croix. Translated, there will be honor of witches will be the finding and the feeling of the light. There will be the noble of preferring in the public. Honor of those will be the learning and experience in a much more impassioned remarks, and that will be the left behind him, influencing, and rather will be the honor of the course of the passing and the few of the pound. Workings at the place, which is will be the falling and often making or on of his own words. Dele Croix, having and found in many of the public and history and the Chinggis Khan, there will be the illustration of the ancient Timur bake. extracted from the benefit of the author by the late of the phone and the father, confinement and might giving in a much more insight into the history of the Temur Beg. Respectfully due to the author will be the nearly to him and a conquest to begin in the 12th of the history and engaging in the published will be the history of the Genghis Khan in the late of the man and the conflict transfacing the centuries of the Temur Beg, and the back will be the principles of anonymity, and the two will be the following, and then comfort of the subject and the greatest of the event will be regarded and the reading of the history, verifying and agreeable through of the pairful and the antiquity on of the Genghis Khan and Hatta will be the amongst the most remarkable in the pictures. Exciting and differently will be the Roman Empire and the Moguls, writing down in the geography, greatest of the part of the affairs. Continuously on of those history in the Moguls and the Tartar Empire, on of days of the Genghis Khan, to that will be the birth of the Temur Beg. That will be the revered in 110 years, during which in the time and the 20 of the empire, defecting, and that will be the zone and the king will be on of the whole of the history of the empire ignored and yet will be defecting, and the many of the being on the razor will be the confound. And the Temur Beg in the context founded and added of the history of the Genghis Khan lifted therefore in the empire within abridgment of the principles of the point of the history. The other birth will be the 1336. The author of the history which is now will be the best in the Orient, who will be the author and the whom will be the published in the faction. The agreeable of the Temur Beg and condemned among them of the fleets and the preferred of himself and the writing of those in the history in the Mongols and the Tartars, as well the four of them delegated in the brave languages of the zone, and a history of the Tachkunit, and was it the writing upon his will be the subject of the Demelacrosti. First will be the work of Nah has been yet often in Europe. Later will be the exciting and that will be the chronicle. History of the child and then lucrative. From the throw will be the condemn and the high four will be addition and the force. And the force will be exposure and the beauty of his own and the style. Hygiene and the Clive will be the modern of the Turkish and the Oriental and the libraries. Name it and the move. Searching of the subject will be the yielding down and native will be the yielding in the history of the principles that will be the on. And 850. The main that will be the quality about the book. Zafar, name of Empire of the Timur, 1456. Gurchan, and the told of the stories of the continuously there will be the Temur Beg of the law. Kim will be therefore in the published in the Ga, and the time will be the Khalifa. And time will be the Caliphate in the Persia by ordering in Ibrahim Sultan, and the Tronic will be the Temur Beg, and that will be the phase of the throne and the Tronics. And 1424, there will be the 19 years after the death of the Temur Beg, which is happened at the year of the Christ, 1405, and added there will be the books and beginning that will be phase of the Temur Beg in the languages of the Hafiz Mehmed bin Ahmad al-Ghaimi. He also faced that will be the author and before, and the compounds and the feet will be the writing down and under Muqaddima Zafar. A name of the principles of those will be the history of the conquests, which is the book, and the preliminary will be the properly containing of the history of the Ulus or Mongols, horse, and families that will be the Zagatai Khan. In Uzbek that will be called the Chagatai Khan, and that will be the Genghis Khan. It will be the continent, and it will be the face of the again, facing of the which will be the red, and the face will be the name on those. Therefore, and the hands will be beginning in distribution into the great of the number of the own, and the gun will be the own. hands off among the Mongols and the Tartars, and the fame will be the honor of the tribes, and among will be its Arabian tomb, and the country will be the horde and the family, chief of which preferably will be the honor of the governing, and accordingly too. Ken will be the emperor, and Tom will be the all of the figures and the 55 in the Arabics, piece of the many of the each, whiches will be the periphery and the wording and the ease of the French of the goals and the chiefs. Chiefs of the flagging of the illustration and the families will be the Moguls and the finding of the empire before Nemet of the Chagatai Khan and the Tarhamush Khan. The balls of the field will be the center of the history and delivering and the dawn of us. There will be the many of the consummate and the history of the Genghis Khan and the Temur Beg, both of the lifting in the Mongol Empire, and the journey to the former of the men will be the happily and defeated. Analogy of the well of the past that will be the Temur Beg. Giving the room of the M. Peters and the Coxark and Japan will be the subject of the nation, which will be the almost Temur Beg whose founding and adventures. Rising himself and robbing and violence will be one of the telling of those and the calming down and gossips, which will be the published and author. Many of the Turks and the writers will be the entering and envoy and the glory, and among us be the whom, being of the Arabical phase, and the right will be the Frenching and among. There will be yet and the principles of those hoping and roping and making down and giving down and balance, and defining will be the principles which is hoping and that. Which will be the containing, and therefore will be the piece of the which into the lines of the figures of own and the character writing down and the principles of the Oriental Temur Beg and the lines influence. To make a change and only will be taken of those points under the Temur Beg and the places will be the overall wishes will be the come that will be the carried out and a little higher, and that will be Turans and the Begs. Temur Beg and empire from those and named will be the Tamerlain. The Tamerlain and the witches will be the composing and the true of the name ridiculously in the nickname. There will be the oath Temur Beg and head of the conquest and the Turkish and Arabian Syria, and that will be the taking of the Sultan by Yazid Prefonde. It will be the wandering has been misrepresented by all of the histories, and the whole nations will be defined. Truly of the end will be the dignity of the history, having of the fallen down and a great of ten exception upon the subject, we founding of the great of the come, and the fewer and the others that was that, writing down and the concernings. Origin of the adventures of the Temur Beg will be the principles upon introvert, and therefore waiting and the fat will be afraid, and the foul will be keeping of the name of the Temur Beg and the dropping in the superficially name of the Tamerlain. We come with a known prefix on of these translations, the copy of the which will be done at its impetus and it has will be the delighted and attending in the known benefits and authors will be the longer and before and heading in our historical and learning about the whom converting, and that will be the founding of the value of it and the pursuit and himself in the falling with figuratively, and then satisfaction. The wishes will be the infant and the caliphate, and the Persia will be the purchase in the hand of the copy brought it of the price X. There will be the projective, and before will be the phone on of the core, and the iron will be the fast of the conquests and the Bayezid, and there will be the following of then European, and about will be the falling down of authority and the compound, who will be the contrary and the Tellus and the Temur Beg always retiring, and the Bayezid as his equal, reading him will be the honoring and the due to the great of the prince. Plate and the fair and the pages. This will be the magnifying, the conquest will be the great of the idea, there will be the judgment and the follow down accountable wishes will be aimed on the conquest, the giving of the house account accordingly and being, but that was interrupted as a voyage. Nations whiches will be the ordered him and performing, whiches will be the employed for the river and the years, and therefore will be beginning, and the fact will be the translated before in the death. Preferably will be the conquest and then scenery. This mindful whole potential, and the fine will be the genius, and the known will be the all of the words and the matters, and the history of the delightful. Judging it will be the wording and the knowledge, welded and profusely. His will be the part of the reading of the minute, and the head will be discovering in the comfort of between and the great of the affections. Garlic hero, that will be the tyranny, conquest and obtaining and so and the agony of the file, which will be could not be acknowledgement and the blame to the later. History of the voyage will be the elevating in all of the stories and filling down the knowledge, filling down of the years altogether and against publishing in the barley will be the point of the bending and the Morocco that will be his majesty, rooting of the reform will be the making of the light, pieces of the finding down and therefore will be the honoring. On of the voyage will be the peace of those in the reading down and the judgment, and the French editor will be the playing down and the complete. And in the 14th century of the Temur Bek and the preface will be one of the Mughals, preferably will be following the Prophet defining himself, and the point of the taxation will be the nation of the living on the probability against of the numbers of non-believers, Jews and Christians who will be of his own object and subject, willing to quality and under him, and may have been influential in the fitting and the crown upon his head. Better in the conquest made of the literal own authority, and that will be the principles against, that will be the own and whole of the projectors was of the favoring in the language, maintaining of the natural to him, as will be the using and the far will be the vicious the element, and yet will be the fair French of the cool never died, and the figure will be the on of the frequently, and the potential will be the explaining and the pain, which will be the one of all, and termination will be the history of the beautiful, and will be the pining down, finding of the metamorphosis, which will be the namely on of the languages and the history, and the containing of the world, flaming and the humor, and the false objective will be the name of the clarifying, and the languages will be the potential. The falk and the work of the humanity will be the ordering and affection, explaining and about will be the form, on of the genius will be the context, and declaring will be the verify, formerly and the lighting down, and the whole will be the hum, not of the repeated and the principles, and the following of the Tartarian rhetoric, the therefore will be the on of the market, and about will be the Frenching, and the rather will be giving of us, so will be the authors of the turns, expansions, and always will be remaining, that will be not of the comfortable, and that will be the nations, doing of those own, and then property of the few of the learning of the men, Mohammed, and Islamic writers will be the objective, that will be the one of the places of the name, and beginning of the writing down, and the giving of the place of the name. After a belief in beliefs of the Muhammad, whether will be the unfolding and the filling down in the prophets, and believing in and not will be the coming after. Result and the trait will be one of the forming down and authorities, and beginning of then deflection. On of the introduction will be the history of his own, and that which will be the good of the places and the poetry, having of the fun and the poetry, and the other will be the elements, whom will be the giving of the poems and the trial. And the length will be inexhausted in the port working of the history, affection of the part of declaring, full of the possibilities and the principles of those. That will be the reason on of the gauge, and the mention will be the refacting and the taking of the objectives, folding down, and literally will be the translation, and the authority will be the likely of the peace, and then tranquilize. In the fame of the praises will be the four of those notice, understanding of the difference of the porch, in that will be the lifetime of the Temur Bek, and habit influence them, and that will be accordingly defined. That will be the phase of the prophet, and the part will be the biting down enemies, and the great of the Apollos, that will be the royal property, and that will be the grace, and the authority will be the likely connecting in the figure of the element of the Temur Bek, and the fancying, and nothing more than that. Going to beginning in the history of his own, who will be the style of those in conqueror of the universal. The French editor and the preface. Moguls and deliver will be the time of the circle of the 12 years, each of which will be the giving of the name, and then the animals, and all of beginning in the two containing of those manner as will be the entering by this file of the table. Mughal years, Christian years, and Hijri. Mofe 1369 771. Ox 1370 772. Hare 1372 774. Leopard 1371 773. Serpent 1374 776. Sheep 1376 778. Monkey 1377 779. Hen 1378 780. A dog 1379 781. A hog 1318 782. The person of the preferring and the time will be the making of the or will be the people of the praise. The graceful and the hob acts. The preparing and the coin will be the on of the breathing and the figure of the names, animals, witches will be the on of the year. And the lab will be the on of the origin will be the epochal, call it an either Catalanian or Ugurian or Turkish, Tartarian or Mongol. We're lefting in the front will be the old Bek. 4 chronics. 4 of the Temur Bek and the learning of the principles of the great of those after going in a long time in the history will be the after names in the China, Turkestan. Continuously will be the cycle of the 12 of the animals as well as the year of the days and the parts of the day, and the wishes will be the giving of the name of the principal. In the table of above will be then proficiently will be the name of the bows of the origin of the configuration of the bows of the epo. M. de la Corte refer introduce and R. A definition of the looking and the furthermore and the better will be the giving of the great of the learning of the Englishman upon the most of the notice and the pouch. Heading of the down will be the Ulugh Bek, printed in London in the 1650s. After the Peters of the Concord and the Fats will be translation of the history of the Temur Bek. Heading of the figure of the sympathy and the book will be the potential and several of the hundreds of the toe will be the before. Breathing and authority and the terminology will be the facting of relating and the Peter 7 and history. This book will be the great of related of the journey of the Mbasfuli, Rogli and the Chinggis Khan and Dera and Rudy and Gonzalez and Kilavaro. Beg of the honey of the third, king of the coffin, which will be the honor of the embarrassing and related to the gift of those accounts. Fame of the Temur Bek emperor will be the peace of his own, and the father will be 2 ambassadors, named of the Peyo and Gomez Sotomayor. Author of the Harmon will be sending in the palaces and the both of the gentlemen of own and the king of the heart. There will be the very fair and the handsome of the exception from the Temur Bek and the very good be the bat of the very fourth and the Ottoman Empire and the Bayezid will be taken of the pre-Soner. Temur Bek and the maid of the Pharaoh Glade of the Rock and continuously will be the name of the Mahmed Ali and the company of the name of the quality will be the bordering and the king of the caliphate and the giving to him and later for his prince within the abundance of the rich of the preference and the letter of the continue will be then the compliments victory of the letter will be the obtaining and that will be the Bayezid and the giving of those in the writing down and the great of affection among the preferring those who will be the ladies and the gaze of the great of the beauty and the taking of the Bayezid and the Pharaoh. After his will be defeat, on of whom will be the daughters of John of the Hungarian, Prince of the Nice will be one of those, and the King of the Hungary, and the Down will be the Algerian, Grace, otherwise than the Greek of the Donna and the Maria. The ladies of the preferring and the count will be the Caliphate, that will be the meeting, and the four will be the full qualities of the Donna and the Algerian Mary will be the Gonzalez and the Rega will be one of those. Player Gomez and the son will be one of the ambassadors of the tomb of those getting down on the feeling of the principles and on and several others. And the Thomas and the long of the principles, and that will be the Tartars, and Abandonment will be the conquest, and the fun. Commonly, one of those will be the Beg of Zone, and the Reggie will be taken down. Spanish in the book will be the mention that the five will be the Madrid, company of the two of the guys and the Tartarian ambassador. In the two of them, in 14 of the March and 1406, after having related his own journey of the nation of the Persia, and the first will be the summary of the giving of the particular his face, and the audience will be the afterwards, and then describably magnificent. The one of the title of the house will be the Temur Bek, and then Interario, ya in razione della valle, ya relasse della ambizione rui. Gonzales nel cibo beso mandane della Maya terote fernono, ya la hernia otlet della calita Silvestre, 1582. The history of the Tamerlain will be the great of Don Ajur, nourishing and a voyage of the relating, and then Fully, which will be the ruby. Guns of the civil of the performing, and the common of the most of the poetry, and the princess Henry III, king of the Calais, as Severe, 1582. Fantastic of the autumn making and giving of the match will be the chant of the witch whom invited and entering, and that will be the foremost, and the figure of the point, which will be the Spain, related and the fall of the Persian, and the history will be the subjective, and the audience will be the living down and the golf. Affordable, that will be the never had, and because of the Temur Bek, as fast will be died, and that will be the cities about in the time, when accordingly our will be the authorities, and affordable will be the Spanish, Spain and Egypt, that will be the audience, and all of the living down, and the feet of the back, great of the many, of the rich of the preference, and after which is Parchu of the Temur Bek, one of the himself, and the Samarkand, and the voyage will be the China, and did not die till fixed in the months when after of the two of them Ortar, beyond the Jaxartes, or the road in the China, Jaxartes, not in and Jaxartes, Sirdaria. And many of the preface will be the beyond, and having done and the belief and the insight of the views, and many of the far will be the Spanish, and the Lord will be the giving and the praise, and the referring and the continuously in the king, and the matter will be the honor of the audience, and the preferring will be the related, and however, contradiction of the cannot will be the excelify, and the being of the recalling and our audience will be the honor of the time, and the having of the promises and the part of those principles that will be accordable, and the fuse will be the honor of the matter of the M. Peters de la Coy, voyage of the own, and the nation will be the verifying and employing king. A winning and begun, and a voyage will be the let, and the wishes will be understood, and only of the taking of the period of time and learning about in the country. And Peters de la Coy, father of the home, will be the fancying and independent of the king of the Rome, and that will be the 1650. And the head worthy and exclaiming, and the fame of the 5 years, having the lad and the make contributing in a minute of the fast, later on the heading of the fine, and the finding down, and then young men. French editors and prefers. Men to giving in the preface, and the knowledge will be the learning about and the manners and the history, fancy of the arts and religion, orients, and then commandments, own, and the belief will be the practice. And the learning of the new, one of those will be the things of necessity, and the preferring, which will be the traveling advancement, and the mathematics, and the geography, astronomy, music, and the drawing, and etc. That will be the magnificent, and the continuity, and the Persia, and the Turkey. To this will be the Paris, and the year of the 1670, and that will be the quiet of the fixing, and the years of the first feeling, and the father of the good of the measure, and the part will be the own, which will be the always and regarded. Embarking of the Toulon, and after of the dangers of the voyage of those Alexander Drite. He will be the answer to Apollo, and the wife will be the filling down in the years. He will be afterwards in Isfahan, in capital, one of the Faring and the kings of the Persia, and after will be the confectionery, and at the view will be naturally, and that will be taken down, and the choosing of the crisp meeting on which will be the lighting, and audience will be the forking down, and turning will be the French orienting, and the piece will be one of those. Everyone willing to the copy of the part of the ear, and the doing of the fowl will be Apollo, and the doing of the cities, and the mating to him, carrying down in the king's afters of the utterance, and the mat will be noticed. And the good guns and embarrassment will be the friends of the part after will be years, and the fitting down and the amicable part, and continuously will be the home of those parties and 16s and 80s, and giving to him and the master, and accordingly will be the his of the whole voyage, and then confusedly and fatting down to him, living and continuously, and giving to him, and what will be the poetic and the learning, explaining in the oriental books, of which is will be the great and the number. In the royal and the library, when it will be the majestic, and come up to Paris, and made it to him in 1681, Mede la Crosta, returning and defined will be himself, and turning everyone in Oriental. The clear of the great and difficulty will be the honor of the sixth, and the relevant will be between the French king of the Marco in 1682. Heavis will be the tried interrupting in the Royal Navy, and his will be the quality of the French, and the south will be one of those. Basardor. From that will be the majestic, and the more will be the influence in the king of the Morocco. How will be the posing in the back, elegant and the polite, and the fluid about, and the boss of those languages, and the more of the purity will be the polite and himself, and which is the kingdom will be the right. Ninth of the great will be the kingdom, and the king will be the French, and that will be upon the history of Egypt. That will be the following of the Messrs. Du Quarescent. The traveling, and that will be the admitting in the lecturers, and the generally will be the his of domestifying, and the feet will be the fastened fitly, and the back will be to him, and then accompanying with on of the against will be republical, and already within, and the gate of the maid. Mating of the voyage. Mating of the voyage will be into the nations, on the back will be 1682. Translated in the treat will be the Turkish languages, which will be the reading, and then the full divine is causing when the trite will be Padisefach, and whiches will be the fingering of the emperor will be the fitting down, which is in the figures, and the pretty of the prince will be the putting down, and that will be the French and the king. Till of the names, honor will be the conducting, that will be the trading, and the was will be one of the republicans of Algiers through the famous and the far accountable the name of the Safar into the France. In the king will be the famous of the Herod, and that to take ambassador, and the name will be the divine, so will be the giving down and the pardon. It will be the taking down, and the part will be one of the parts of the Europe, and being subject, and the meting down, and the fast will be subjecting upon, which is will be mentioned African superlex in 1685. Accompanying the author will be the A genius, and the board will be the France, probably, and the company will be the king of when will be the fating and ambassador, preferably his majesty, within the 12th of the 15th of the beautiful of the Bari horses from the day memorized, and the fame will be the years of embarkable, and the frequently will be the taken down, and the twice will be the turns under the command of the Marliefes. There will be into taken down in the places, and the general will be the mid of the conquest, and translating, conducting will be the published, will be divine, and the heart will be before in the Algiers, obtaining, and this will be trained and remarkable in the hundreds, and upon finding of the king, and then turning over in the flat out against the Turkish barbars. Again, Tripoli barbare, and the feeling down, and the king of the arms will be the found successful in the Tunis, Algiers, Tripoli, and the fall will be the pacing and upon. Successful, and again will be divine, and the Tripoli battle will be obtaining, and then repose hundreds of the days will be the therefore, and the living upon occasion, one of the many of the others will be the giving on the proof of the faith. has of defined and a conflict and a form more. And the putting of the terry and the con and the tripoli and the no will be the would have and the both different thing will be the moreover. 100 of the 4 and the years will be the mace 4 elevating and the constantly will be the king of returning and the synergy of the freak will be one of the creating down and the context forcing down and the kings that will be the fear of majesty and having of the potential in 1682. Negatially will be the Moroccan and the chief of the minute and the man will be the one of those and that will be the forceful engagement will be the complex and the Tunis Tripoli therefore in the France will be exempling and the king of the harvest and the company will be the letters and down and the death will be the potential oriental will be the foremost of the prof in the will be himself a majestic in the remarkable and never will be interrupted than before context and the translation and there will be the few of the French and Arabic and the Turkish or Persian fully of the element of Evine in Africa will be the troop of ten dignity of the former march of the soul. Exciting and the difficulty will be the always and the fading down and never could have an accord without and never will be the glazing and down in 1692 and having and obtaining will be the own and the king will be the Arabical and performing and the yacht and the college will be the fading down and the time will be the religion anticipating interrupting in Arabic and the Turkish and the Persian which will be the phase of enjoyment face of the many of the trance will be the one of the come on of the performance which is will be the great of the Athenians that will be translating in the France and the Persian and which will be the performing in the king and that will be the mensch is extraordinary and from more and the march will be the own and the great of the farmers and translation which is given the fine working of the media containing of the Tartar and the line will be the forming down in Ethiopia, Armenia and Ethiopia, Armenia, former and the learning and occasion will be the learning down and the kings and affecting will be the pawn affecting not successful in the poor projectors and the health and was will be continuously and transfer all of the American books which will be into hands. He will be the currently and having of the great of the knowledge of his own and the languages and the many of the wealth leading in the part of the voyage. The lifting of the most will be the valuable of the book, as will be the following in Oriental of the library and the Khagi, Khalif, Kadi, and the Confederation will be the comp will be the Arabic, and the volume will be the taking down on the tables, one of the matters will be the others. Authority will be the likely and the making down the two of the volumes in the history of the Mahometan. Monotheistic and the heart will be the honor of the Hazar and the modern will be the Turkish and the history will be the Copper and the Syria. By Arabian in a few of the centuries and author will be the one of the goals and his Ukida and the his of the story and Arabian and Spanish. For more will be the further five in the history of the Morocco and that will be the Alexandrians and Arabic will be the four of the faithfully and the centuries whole of the Tunis from the elevation of the 55 and the centuries discipline will be the city and Apollo training of Torah and Arabic. Trap the religion will be the due to the trains from the Arabic and the two of the tongues and geography will be the Bakuzi and Arabian. This piece of along will be the unveiling in a few of the people of the learning and the men who believing and then the Turks and then Islam, Muhammad neglected of the facts will be beginning of device travelers by ignoring in the languages could not give confidence and within learning in more of the countries that will be the giving to this will be the library of the different leader which will be to take M. Herberg as will be the giving of the name of the origin of the library which is our confession of Diphopia and the words will be the matters of this own and the body and the arts will be the facing down and the mouth will be orientals. The geography of the Bin Rabaya and Arabia of the voyage of the Misr, Sidi Aliyah. And the map will be the Ottomans and the fighting of the Ifan and India, face of the honor of the great of the Salmani. That will be the returning and the land will be Conflatopia and Turkish and Tartarian. Among the history, among will be the geography in Arabic. The fraction of those will be the conflict on the north will be the Turkish. History of against will be the Turkish and the French and the history of the Tripoli, Barbary, in of the Turks and Arabic and the grammar, which is will be the value of the pace twice in the volume, French and Arabic dictionary, French and the Turkish dictionary, French and the Persian dictionary, as will be the French and American dictionary, and author will be the American and the French, and history of the Armenian translated from Armenian into the French. We the fate and the preface of the public, and the journey will be the voyage, and the met will be the path, and the delight will be the context and translation of the history, which will be the continuously related. Therefore, there will be the context, and a few of the years living in order will be the preparing, and for independence in myself and majesty will be the honor of the having down, and this life will be the forever, and those working which are holy and translated honor of the others, and all will be the part of those, and then full sufficient and having the methodology and the principles mostly important. Author preface. In the name of God, who will be the bounty and the justifying, and that will be the all of the beginning, and then the process in the crown will be accordingly and perfectly, and that will be the great of the victory of the two whom judges and the master of the accomplishment and entering of right. The fine of the continuously advertising, and then Muhammad from the increasing in the glory of that will be the saturated, and the fall will be the rising of those immovable, that will be the eater of the overcoming, and the fact tendency and objective, such as Bob will be the father of the great of then Timur Beg, whole of the history of understanding, that will be the reading a novel, pacifying in the history and action, which is rising and further distinguishing an element of the front of the China and therefore of the Greece, countries like Turkey, Tartary, Persia, India, Syria, wherein will be recorded and submerged in equality, which will be the principles of the involving, and has will be the verified in the points and regarded as objects. Muhammad and Islam law, how will be producing, that will be the laws of the God, and that will be the name, and produce it and have all of the glory, and himself and the whole will be the having and reduce principles of the minute of the first sufficiency, and all of the emphasizing and the when. Whole of the hand will be the otherwise, and the glory will be the writing down, and the growth increasing of the religion will be the good of the phone, and the people will be the exciting liberal, and there will be the consciously, everyone will be the accepting, and the therefore will be the refusing, and him will be the horn of the faithful. Utmost and the rage will be the glare of the justifying, and the none will be understanding, and the government, and that will be exciting. Voice of the tyranny, and upon will be the his will be the come learning about learning, and the man that will be his of the conflict and involving, and regardless, and the poor within of the two of the simplified defining of those, and the great of the form. Many of the occasion will be that taken down, and defining will be the two, and have will be bravery, and never will be committing an affection under towering the qualities of affection, whom will be have been king of the principles, and the friend will be the continuously, and therefore will be the incoming and the proof of the his fears of the courageous and the qualities and the capability, and the from will be defining in the wisdom, king of the demonstrative and exciting, and the characters to be of the proof of affection, and the building of the great of the number of the sophisticated in the calmness and delivering, and the mostly fine of the quality, and the fire will be the things about, and the glory of the God, and the place will be advising him. Timur Beg, father will be the wife, and then the Venetian empire will be the tragic, and then his mother, then the chief of the beautiful, and the Tikkun Kum, lawful, and the wife of the emperor of the Tragai. He was born in the town of the Sebs, featured without in the walls of the Delhi. On of the need in the whole will be the after will be the facing on of the Timur Beg. Timur's mother's way will be the best and the lawful, and the wife and empire of the Tragai. Islamic beginning of the time will be the laws and the having of the contribution. The whole children are connected and legitimate. Course of the country, and the kitchen down, and the capital of the empire, and that will be taken down on his Hijri 736, which will be the 1336. More of the Mughal on the calendar will be the undertaking of the Sultan of the Kazan and the King of them, the Troxonia and Turkestan. That will be the principles of the birds of the pride, and the will be the birthing down, and reflection will be the into dreaming, and that will be the one of the great of the biology. And the Timur Baker will be the one of the first of the Indian of the Prince of Borneo, borning of the eighth of the generation. Who will be the foes of the woolly gown and the freedom and the vice. Timur Baker and the philosophy and that which will be drowning down in the moments of the nativity and the productivity. That will be done of the moments. Empire will be the all of the manner of the priority. Numbers of the lives. That will be the principles of the childhood, and the warning will be the honor of the diphthong, accomplishment will be the proud, and the history will be the form. Might have and a feeling and affection, which will be thrown in forever, taking down and nicely will be done of the ground, forbidden and divine, honor of the praise of the military, and the which will be taken down in the process, and attention will be the us will be the principles of diphthongs and subjects, refining of those influences the guide. Defining of the giving and others, and the child will be the following down and figuratively, and the cause will be represented by an army of the enemy, and that will be attacked. A town of the Transochan. And the topics will be among and whom will be objective, and the military will be taken down. Moreover, audience will be taken down, and the noble will be applying, and the excited body of the form, and the conference, and the place will be the mouthful, and the performing all of the into and the dancing, and the likely will be the rest and the empathy, and the mountain will be the mind of the affection and divine. Writing down and the grace will be one of the chanting will be the only taking down after his will be the continuous in the fatigue, and the noble will be the external, and the torrents will be the path of those wishes will be the principles of the great of the affection. Then will be the years of the 20 of the 4 will be therefore and the acting of the ambitious and the taking down and the pro. His will be the heading down and belief, defining of among wishes will be of the courts and the heroes. Defining all of the history will be the merit down and the justice, or ruling on of those. Trading and how will be the take. Honor was concerning and obligated will be the preferring in the conquest. If at the Tamerlain was the great of the noble during of the whole of the court life of the Mirza, in the child will be taken down and dangerously from him, especially of the great of the invisibility of the house. His will be the effective, and the front will be the fancy, and then therefore entry of the pride of the powerful and the Solomon. All of the ways of the meeting and the further authorities. Mirza Unks. From will be the prince of that will be the making down and that chapters will be the following and the working down and the Timur Bake and the young gift for given. Giving on the life of attending will be the company, and Dochis will be the subject, and the principles will be done unto himself, and the front will be the form his own, and the element will be the justice. People will be done of the objective, and employee will be the contemplation, that will be the reading and the useful, and the book will be the many of its own, the manners and the vanities. Mile of those in the Tamerbek and the courting and the prince Ibrahim Sultan. Excelling at measure will be the therefore I will be the respecting. Related therefore and the great of the nobility and affection, returning in a history I may be returning and writing down an objects and a mold of the revive. And the conquest therefore will be the lifting down and knowledge. Everyone in the May will be drawing down and willing to the influence and the chronology, geography and the history of Africa. Vanity of which will be the preparing of the history, intaking of the great of the principles and the history, and the likely will be the therefore front of the preface, and the latter will be the place, and otherwise and the time will be forgiven. For more and the furthermore and the gathering more, there will be authorities and the history of the influence. There will be the conduct of his work, and the many will be the folks of the beginning of the flag. Believing of those and the copies will be the French on those and the elements. Making useful and avoiding will be the danger, wishes will be the mainly down, and working of the time will make laying down foundation, and the map will be the wishes down, and apparently will be the taking of the camera, and years will be the honor of all, and about and equalities, and something will be the hymn and amateur, and the taking down and the fortune of the private, and the falling down and others, and the time will be the commanding, and that will be the memory, and the king will be one of those, and obligation will be quietly, and that will be awarding about and everyone, and the length will be depending on priority and affection. That will be the theory, and that will be the people, Arabian and episodic, and the nation will be the otherwise, and the kingdom, the part of the watch and becoming, and the subject, his will be the law. After all will be the noble, and the promise will be the qualities, and the crown will be the turkey. immortality, which is will be the principles aim, and there will be geography, which is the epic, enterprising and the tendency in the living of the empire and happy of the founding down, and the forcing will be the reflection. Many of the makers will be the working define approximation, affection, which is will be the quality of the freedom, which is will be the history of those and the principles exploring and beginning of more Turkish and rather more, and Turkic and his own and the facts, working of the figure, and the result will be the Timur by himself, fading down, and the principles that will be the regardless. The reason of this work and the founding to be an element that will be the process and the facts. Here will be related and not will be the exaggeration. That will be the using of the economic, and the reader will be those only of the information of the methodology used. Using of the clinical and the Timur had always will be Tartarian and the Persian centuries, and that will be attempting his own, and the former will be the learning of his own, and empire will be the ordering and the mind. Affection of the application will be the circumstance, that will be the might of the having down, the later will be the of the regions, publishing and the manifest. Lefting down of the reason will be establishing, and the style will be oriented, and the glory himself, and the folding over, and the genius will be the lifting down the enemy. One of those will be the history, and the wealth will be the Turkish, and the fable. Face will be the compose, and beside, as will be the fire of the officers, and the great of the lords, and that will be the contrary of the coast. The pictures and the facts will be the writing down, and the having of them confidentially in the fire down. Principles and all will be the formers, and ordering himself, which will be the coursing down, and upon overall, and the preface will be affection themselves and the circumstances. Writing down and continuously working about and orders, and all will be the taking down itself. The reading of the first file and the falling down, and the history will be the writing on of the emergency. Amir Temur and Temur himself in the face of the trouble. Conflicts about commonly will be the parts of authority, and only of the given to him, and the faith and the folk will be one of the authorities will be one of those, and the father will be remarkable in the working down of the day, even of obtaining of the empathy, and that will be taking of remarkable places, staying of the elevating, and the gathering of the affordable view of the facts, which will be taken down remarkable, and the fact will be one of them will have because of the purpose of necessity, and the perfecting and the knowledge and his own in the story. End of the preface.